Welcome. Look, guys, this is going to be a fun live stream. And what I want to ask you to do is say a prayer. Say a prayer that we learn a ton today and that the Lord grants us and blesses us with all sorts of knowledge about how to make a 3D game. Come on in, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I think we're good. Are we live? Are we live? Let me double check. And by the way, while I double check, I want to say a huge thank you. Huge thank you to Loic live stream. Loic, we are live. Okay. Loic, Whitney, Montrell, Martin, Andreas, Anthony, Brian, Seth, Lorenzo, Victor, Robert, Lewis, Benji, Leonardo, James, and all those other people, because I already shouted them out yesterday. If your name isn't on this list and you enrolled in the course yesterday, I did not have time today to put you on the list. But during Monday's live stream, we'll do a big update with all the new people who have joined. Thank you so much. Huge thank you. I mean, it means the world to me that you guys enrolled during the Black Friday sale for my massive course called Full-Time Game Dev. And by the way, if you want to join Full-Time Game Dev, you still got 9 days left to join the program. This is it, guys. This is the one. If you want a course that's actually taught by a real indie game developer, like somebody who's actually in the trenches making indie games, if that's something you're interested in, then this is the course for you. There's a lot of courses on Skillshare or what else? There's another one, Udemy. They're not taught by indie game developers, like real indie game developers. I'm kind of an enigma. I love YouTube. I love teaching, but I'm also pretty good at making indie games. I'm on my third commercial release, signed by my third publisher. And in this case, it's 3D Realms, and I'm making a big 3D game called Twisted Tower. This course is going to teach you everything from coding in C#. You can learn in Unity, Unreal, or Godot. Any engine you want to learn, it's available in the course. You can take your pick. But you're also going to learn how to secure funding from publishers. You're going to learn how to do Kickstarter campaigns and get funded on Kickstarter. Thomas, why should we listen to you? Well, I've done all those things. You can look it up. Just Google Thomas Brush Kickstarter. You'll see both of my campaigns basically raised $100,000. Just shy of $100,000 for my second one. You're going to learn how to, hit the Steam front page. I've done that. You're going to learn how to get streamers to play your game. I've done that. Jacksepticeye, Game Grumps has played my games. Matt Pat's played my games. PewDiePie's played my games. Although, full disclosure, I made a game for PewDiePie, so that's a little bit different. But on top of that, you're going to get my 2D art program, my 3D art program, my YouTube, how to do YouTube content. You're going to get that program completely free. Those aren't just throwaway courses. Those are high value courses that I used to sell at a premium, but for this sale, totally free. And you got 9 days left. Look, this is massive. You've got 60 seats left. We're almost halfway through the available seats. So if this is something you're interested in, click the link below, check it out, and I'll give you a shout out on Monday's live stream. And by the way, if you're a student in my programs, let me know in the chat what you think about them. Seriously, I would love to know. This is me telling you the audio is peaking, so don't come at me with you didn't tell me. So, here we go. Am I peaking, really? Check 1 2 1 2. Check 1 2 1 2. Why is it always freaking peaking? Stop. Hey guys. You're trying to make a backrooms game? Okay, well let's jump in and figure out how to make a backrooms game, okay? All right, we good, guys? Everybody good? Ready to go? Thomas, do you think the Cuff Bus game is failed? It doesn't look like it did well, and that's okay. Sometimes games don't do well. That's okay. It's a really hard thing. I'm just gonna. It went from low to high. How's that? Check 1 2 and 2. Check. Something I have to say about games that fail. I have a lot of sympathy for YouTubers who put themselves out there and are willing to teach. I mean, obviously, because I'm doing that right now. But they're also making games and they're putting themselves out there and giving advice, and then they're putting games out there. And that's a scary thing to do because your credibility is on the line. Gavin didn't have to do any of that. He didn't have to make a YouTube channel teaching how to make games. Gavin's a great developer. He's smart. He's really smart. And I'm sure he'll come back from this for sure. And I love him and I wish him the best. And sometimes you release bad games. That's okay. Good on him for releasing a game. Can we give a round of applause? Applause emojis to Gavin for even releasing a game. I mean, that's amazing that he released a game that has that level of polish. Okay, is that good, guys? Good volume? Check 1, 2, and 2. Okay, so yesterday we left off just talking about lighting. And by the way, I've got this really, really ugly normal map. And maybe some of you even noticed it yesterday. The normal map is on our wallpaper and it's also on our carpet. I'm going to remove that normal map completely. Why is it not removing? Something's going on. Oh, it's on my detail mask. So we're going to remove the detail mask entirely. A detail mask is a detail is just it's a secondary layer that you could put over top of your standard layer. I don't need all this right now, okay? Very simple. The carpet as well, we don't need that at all either. Okay, so let me remove that. And let's get started. Today's gonna be fun, okay? We're gonna talk about how to make a game in Unity, a 3D game in Unity. And specifically, we're just gonna focus on, okay, how do we make like a Backrooms game? Because believe it or not, that's actually one of the easiest, I think. If I had to make a game really quickly and Backrooms wasn't oversaturated, I would definitely make a Backrooms game. Okay, so here we go. We've got our Backrooms game map that we created yesterday. I removed those ugly normal maps. We're not going to worry about normal maps for the purposes of this workshop. Is it worth staying here if I'm an Unreal dev? Absolutely. Look, tons of crossover with 3D. Tons of crossover. Kyle, go ahead and email thomas@fulltimegamedev.com and we'll get you sorted, okay? If you're already a full-time game dev student, absolutely, you should be able to get the YouTube course if you recently bought full-time game dev. So I think that's totally fine. Okay, guys, the thing I wanted to focus on today were 3 things. Okay, I'm going to pull up my list of things. It's a lot. It's a lot today. And I was thinking, well, what are we going to talk about today? And then all of a sudden it was like bang, 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 bang. All these things that I wish people would have told me when I started making 3D games. I just wished they would have told me about these things. We could talk briefly about lighting cookies. We're going to talk about the difference between a point and a spotlight. And I know what you're thinking. I already know that. Nuh-uh. I will tell you something that you don't know about spotlights that is crucial. Absolutely crucial. Point lights in particular. It's a big deal. I'll tell you in a sec. Mixed versus real-time versus baked lighting. Okay? This is all so important to you guys. A lot of game developers just put tons of stuff into their games and they don't know anything about lighting. And then, 2 years down the road, they're wondering why their game runs like trash on Nintendo Switch or Steam Deck or even PC. And I'm going to tell you all about that stuff with lighting. We're going to talk about decals, not the technical side of it, but like the value of it. I'm going to place some decals and show you why they're so important, okay? We'll talk about texture variation, lighting animation, sound triggers, set dressing, optimization, and inclusion culling. So we're going to do our best here to hit all these things. Are you guys ready to roll? But let's hit play here and just feel out how this Backrooms level feels. Now, the sound is going to be wrong. So I'm going to hit play here and we'll take a look at the sound. The sound is all wrong. I was just putting this in here yesterday just to wrap up, but we're going to adjust the sound here and the lighting to make it feel more like Backrooms. Okay? All right. Here we go. First things first. Backrooms. Let's study the lighting of Backrooms and how do we get that vanilla ugly lighting? How's this accomplished? There's something in particular about this lighting here that is very disturbing. Now you notice it doesn't go dark really. There's not really any fog. We're not going deeper and deeper into fog. So how exactly is this lit? This one is. This goes darker and darker, which I kind of like. But some of these have no fog. This one, that's got a dark fog, okay? So let's try and figure this out. Let's figure out how do we make this look like back rooms. Okay, so right now, pretty dark. I'm going to turn off the Pro Builder so we can just see it in its current form. Okay, it's pretty dark. So my theory is that the environment, we need a little bit of lighting here. We're going to do a color environment light. This is on the lighting tab. And this just allows us to pump up just a little subtle amount of light. We're going to do a little bit of white here. Just barely. So weird. Why is it doing that? Unity's environment lighting is just trash. You just want those shadows to fill in subtly, okay? I'm also going to turn off the fog. Okay, the fog's already turned off. This is what it looks like on, something like this, right? And this is off, okay? So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to boost up our lighting a little bit, okay? And we talked about this yesterday, but you don't really want practical lighting in your game. Not really. I like to put my lighting after I place lights. So what I mean is if I place like a ceiling light like this, these two lights don't actually do anything. I place the lights after the fact. Okay? Like this. I don't really like lights practically lighting the scene. And that means it's realistic and it's actually coming from the source. That kind of drives me crazy because oftentimes you'll have like 30 lights in a scene when really you could accomplish it with one. Okay? So I'm going to do something like this. Okay? Let's make our ambient light a little bit more yellow. There we go. I wonder if there's any post-processing going on causing the scene to look a little bit green. I think there is. Okay, so I'm going to turn off post-processing for just a sec. And we're going to try and figure out why this green color is happening. Okay? Because it's really yellow that we want. Yeah, it's the wallpaper. So the wallpaper is a little green, isn't it? So let's make it a little bit more yellow. Again, I can open up my Photoshop textures and they're not JPEGs, okay? They're Photoshop files. So I can quickly make adjustments to go a little bit more yellow here, for example. And save it. And then it'll become more yellow really quickly. Does that make sense? So let's hit play here and take a look. Still a little green. Cool. And we're going to change the music and sound in a second here. Wow, I can't say that. Let's bump up the saturation of the yellow and maybe go a little bit darker with our fog, okay? So we'll bump up the saturation here. Again, we can just go into Photoshop here and we're going to create a new hue saturation layer here and just bump up the yellow. See if that fixes it for us. Just hit save and jump back in. There we go. Sweet. What about the carpet? The carpet it needs a little bit more saturation, I would say. Maybe bump up the lightness here, a little bit of that. There we go. Go back into Unity here. And we'll go to our carpet. And the carpet, I think we just need to bump up the color of the yellow color just a little bit here. Yeah. Let's try that. Take a look. There we go. Feeling a little bit more backroomsy, wouldn't you say? All right. And we're going to add a little bit of fog here. We'll do 0.1. And you could just test it out and say, okay, do I like the red? Do I like the white? Does it need fog? No, because backrooms actually feels dry. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of moisture in backrooms. So I kind of like that. I'll turn off the music in a second. Yeah, there we go. Feeling pretty backroomsy. I like it. Okay. Remember we did shadows yesterday? Well, now you notice that we can't see the shadows. Why is that? Well, we filled in the ambient light. So that means all of our shadows are a lot less dark. So we need to make sure we strengthen our shadows right here. That makes me feel like we need to bring the ambient light down just a little bit. There we go. I don't like perfectly dark halls. Personally, that's not my cup of tea. I like to be able to see a little bit down there. And we'll go a little bit more yellow. There we go. And I'm going to just pump this down just barely. Okay, I think that's what we want. Okay, guys. Got the general vibe down for our backrooms environment. By the way, let me know in the chat who likes backrooms. Who likes backrooms? I love the backrooms. There is something deeply nostalgic, deeply, it's living inside of me. It's been living inside of me since I was born. Something about the backrooms, in my opinion, it feels like it might actually exist. It's so weird. The backrooms is something that is deep in our psyche, especially if you're a millennial. I don't know why. That's good tea, man. Holy shnikes, that's good. Okay. This is also causing shadow problems. I can delete that, see? And then bring this one down. If you're ever struggling to see, you're like, where are my shadows? It could be that another light is filling in those shadows of another light. So you have to be very careful with where you're placing shadows. Okay? All right. But we can, if we want, crank up this brightness, but you don't want to go too hot. Okay? This right here, let me show you. This right here, guys, that's too hot. We're not watching a movie by Darren Aronofsky in 2002. We need to pump it down. You never want the shadows to be perfectly black, in my opinion, nor do you want the highlights to be too hot or perfectly white. You want a nice balance. Very subtle balance. And this is definitely, that's it. That is our backrooms environment. Now you might be tempted to go, well, let's make it more yellow like backrooms. No. Keep it natural. Light, if you guys look at the lights around you in your room. They're all they're barely white. They're barely warm. They're barely warm. Okay, so that looks great here. Let's go ahead and take a look. Those shadows look really good too. Oh. By the way, if you're just joining us, remember you can get 50% off full-time game dev if you want to support the channel, but also obviously support your future because I think it's a great course. I really do. You're going to learn so much. Everything I've learned in the last decade of making indie games, you're going to learn. I love the way this looks. I want to eat it up and put it inside my mouth. I really do. I want to add some trim here too and trim there, but we're not going to do that because we got to focus on the various topics that we're learning about. So am I going too fast or are you guys ready to move on to the next topic? Oh, I forgot to send an email to my subscribers. Hang on. Send email. Hold on. I got to send this email, guys. Sorry. 3, 2. I'm so paranoid about sending emails because it's like to 70,000 people. And I'm like, did I post a link on accident in the email that's like really, really bad? I don't know. Some kind of weird link that I accidentally put in the email or something, or like a link to like a Discord chat or something. It's like to 70,000. Okay, we're good. We're good. Yes. We're so good. We're ready to go. All right, here we go. Bad. Okay. All right. Yeah, we're good to go, guys. Okay, guys. Sorry, I had to send that email. All right, let's open up Unity here. And let's move on to the next topic, which is sound, okay? Backrooms is just very simple, very, very simple, like, what would you say? A buzzing of fluorescent lights. So let's go ahead and type in backrooms, fluorescent light. I guarantee you this exists. Sounds. 10 hours in the backroom. So here's one. I'm just going to grab this one off YouTube. Okay, we're going to grab this one off YouTube. Thomas, how are you going to do that, buddy? I have this thing called 4K Video Downloader, which you shouldn't be using these sounds, okay? You should be making your own sounds or use royalty-free ones. But we're just going to use this for the purpose of this tutorial. I'm going to paste this. Give me just a second. I'm going to paste this link here for MP3. Paste the link inside of my 4K Video Downloader. Here it is right here. There we go. Thank you, Urban Outcast. Thank you. We're going to let this download here. This is 10 hours in the back rooms. Holy crap. We don't need 10 hours. But we're going to we're going to let it download. And we're just going to bring this into Audacity, and then we're going to cut it up. We don't need 10 hours, okay? So we want to be efficient, and we're going to maybe choose 30 seconds of this sound, and we're going to make sure it loops perfectly. What you don't want is oh my goodness, the conversion is going to take forever. We're going to let that download and load, and we're going to move on to the next topic, okay? The next topic is the difference. We're not going to worry about cookies. I mean, cookies are pretty straightforward, guys. There's nothing really here to talk about other than cookies can create sort of textures with your lights like this. And they're just black and white images. Okay, like this cookie here. And I like to just get these on the asset store. There's no reason to build these custom. Just get some free cookies on the asset store. Everybody likes a free cookie. Okay. So we're not going to worry about cookies because that's straightforward. I want to tell you guys a secret about point lights versus spotlights. Who can guess what my secret about point lights and spotlights are? Can somebody guess what the secret is? It has to do with optimization. Can anyone guess what the difference between a point light and a spotlight is on the optimization side of things? Can anybody guess? Yeah, we're going to talk about baked lighting. We'll talk about baked lighting. Can anybody guess what that is? How's this? Okay, it's converting. It's going to take a while. It's just a huge file. Well, if you can't, points are 6 times slower. Good. Okay, so why? Why are point lights slower? Point lights have shadows. No. Spotlights have shadows. Point lights are special. No. Point lights are basically, it's either 4 or like 6 spotlights. That's really what a point light is. It's lights pointing in every direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's insane. If you're in a situation where you can use a spotlight, use a spotlight. Use a spotlight. Do not use a point light. And I'm going to have to go through Twisted Tower and replace every point light with spotlights. I'm going to go through each one and fine tune it to increase optimization. It's sadly just going to have to be something I do because I learned this after the fact. So, for example, can we get away with a spotlight in this room? Maybe. Probably not. Okay? Probably not. But what if we'd had, let's say, for example, what if we had a light here? I don't know. A light decal here. Where did the light decal go? It's over there. What if we had this over here? And it was like, actually, I could just type in, there's a cool little hospital light that I really like that we use in the game sometimes. There it is. There's hospital ceiling light, and then there's a wall light here. Come on, there it is. That's the one. So we have this hospital wall light here, okay? Look how it came default out of the package from the asset store, okay? It looks great, right? Looks really good. No issues, no complaints, except for the fact that the point light is useless. We're uselessly using a point light. I'm going to assume it's a point light. It is. Now you might be thinking, well, Thomas, what if it's like what if there was a wall right here? You would want that point light. Yeah, that's true. But you don't in this room. So that's why you gotta kind of be, it's so sad. You gotta be kind of picky and specific about which lights you use. That's why, in my opinion, lighting is more of a, you just make a game look amazing with point lights. This is my theory, at least. You just put them all over the place. Make them all real time. Don't worry about optimization. Then when the game is done, then you go in and you fine tune, especially if you're making like a linear story game or like a horror game or something. So this is why I would use a spotlight here. Okay? A spotlight is much more efficient, especially if you're making a game for like, let's say Switch 2. You would use a spotlight like this. Now that looks a little ugly. So what we're going to do is make it look not ugly. It's one thing that I hate about lighting, especially in a lot of indie games, is it's very sharp. It's like this. It's like, that looks horrible. Instead, you want to do this. Very soft and subtle. Soft is a word you're going to hear a lot, especially in like, let's say the film industry, when you're doing lighting. You want it to be very subtle, very soft. Now that's where you start to see that it's a spotlight. See that? So you want to be very, very careful with how you're using your light. So I think soft, very subtle, like this is fine. So that's how you can kind of get away with spotlights. Does that make sense, guys? Okay. So that's the difference between a spotlight and a point light. Spotlights are really things that are they're a sixth of the cost of a point light. That's what I've heard. But they're a little bit more challenging to get working in a huge environment, right? A really massive environment might be a little bit more difficult. So you have to use them strategically. Like right here, I wouldn't want to use a spotlight there because I like all these shadows. So I really want light coming in how many directions? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 directions. Up, down, left, right, forward, back. Okay, does that make sense? Any questions about point lights versus spotlights? What shadow? What do you mean? In this case, yes, this wouldn't work. That's right. I could try. Like I could say, okay, let's do a spotlight here. You know, I could do that. But you're not going to get those cool shadows. It'll work okay. That's the thing. This is the thing about game dev is like a lot of people who are playing a game, they're not going to fully understand why this is not very visually exciting. They're not going to get it. They won't, in their brain, they won't go, this doesn't work because of X, Y, and Z. But suddenly, in their brain, in their subconscious, this is why I think people's subconscious is smarter than their brain sometimes. Their brain loves this. That's delicious. But they don't know why. That makes sense? All right. How we doing? Legal says, thank you for the lighting direction or clarification. I've been using spot and point lights wrong. Well, there's also a strategy with spotlights that I haven't discussed, which is sometimes you really do want a spotlight or a point light to do something like this. Sometimes you really do want it to sort of cast up a wall. You know, you can imagine, I'll show you, and it actually would work practically here. If I do one like straight up like this, it makes sense to do that. Just remember, we don't want to blow out the lights, okay? So let's do this. And something you got to be careful with point lights is don't make it so tall. There's no reason to try and cast information up there. Just do that, okay? It's still a little hot, It's still a little hot, so be gentle. There we go. So you can do something like that, but the problem is it just doesn't look right because there's no what we would call scattering. There's no scattering. And so you'd have to sort of mimic scattering either with this or you could use like GI or something, global illumination. So that's kind of how we could do it here. But you might even want to do just broaden it like that. There we go, something like that. So if we hit play, you could see why we might want to do this. We're mimicking GI with this and bringing it down a little bit. So here you go. Let's take a look. Is there a limit to how many scenes you can have, lights you can have in a scene? If you're asking that question, you officially need to use some kind of light occluding script. In my opinion, you officially want to use a light occlusion script. Now, I have my own. I think ChatGPT wrote it, or I got this one from the asset store. I have a light occluder, and what it does is it collects all the real-time lights when we start the in play mode. It collects them all and puts them in a big fat list. And then it basically fades them all in and out and then turns them off entirely based on the distance from the player. That's a great way to reduce I'm going to reduce that. That's a little too bright. The amount of lights in a scene. So you could place like 1,000 lights in a scene, but only 10 are rendering because of this occlusion script. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Okay. So you might be thinking, wow, that was a ton of work, Thomas. Oh, Thomas, I don't like that. Well, now we have this one light. Now I know these aren't really in back rooms, these lights, but it's good to at least, let's not make it blue, by the way. Let's do a little bit of a warm green. But we can make this a prefab. And then we can just place this all over the place. Make it a prefab here. And then I can just go, yay. Whoops. Hold on one sec here. For some reason that didn't work. Prefab variant. There we go. And I'm just going to place them all over the place. Like this. See? So we can just use them all over. They're not my favorite. I don't really care about them. They're kind of ugly. But I'm trying to make a point here of why we want to use these. Or make a point about point lights versus spotlights. In a game, I'm going to be honest with you guys. My next game, the scenes are going to be significantly smaller than what they are in Twisted Tower. Twisted Tower scenes, we're actually cutting them into pieces now because they're just so big. We treated them like Doom maps, which was a huge mistake. Okay, so we have our lights sort of being cast up the walls. They don't look like backrooms lights, but the point is to show you spotlights and point lights. Any questions? Any questions? Thomas, I'm 31. I've been working on my game for 3 years now. All this talk about small games is giving me second thoughts. You and me too, buddy. I'm not quitting though. I don't want to at this point. Well, Twisted Tower is actually a great game and I think it's going to do well. I do, but my next game I think is going to be, I'll be honest with you guys, I'm thinking about doing 1 hour little horror, they're almost like short horror films that are like $2 and just releasing those every month. And doing it's kind of like Puppet Combo. I think I'm going to do that for like a year and just see if it's a profitable idea. So, okay. You say this, tuck back, shut your mouth. You say this every time. Yeah, I would say with this one, it probably is a little weird. And I think one of the solutions would be something like this. Creating some kind of wide, let me see here. Widening it maybe. Yeah. And changing the rotation a little bit. So it's kind of coming out from the top like that. But I mean, it doesn't even make sense practically because that's not the shape of the light, but just trying to make a point about these lights, okay? Chill. Okay. So that's point lights versus spotlights. Now, one of the things that I've noticed about set dressing, and we'll move on to the sound effects, but a little precursor to set dressing, I've actually found less is more with set dressing. The Backrooms is a great example of this. This scene looks really good, but I could clutter this scene up with set dressing, and all of a sudden it would look cheap. So I want to talk to you about set dressing in a second. We're going to talk about set dressing and being strategic about where we place items. The worst thing you can do is set dress randomly. Just place stuff. Instead, we need to be thinking like a director. Okay? All right. Would it be profitable posting video shorts on YouTube relying on the ads? No. Not in my opinion. YouTube, the money is not made from ads, I will tell you. Where do you guys think the money is made? Does anyone know? Do you see that giant banner at the bottom of my stream? I'm very open about this, by the way. I'm not ashamed of it at all. I think it's great that I'm able to sell courses and help you guys. And good grief, this Backrooms file is gonna like blow up my computer. But we'll move on to the next thing while we wait for this thing to load. Good grief, I'm getting some weird. I smell coffee. Oh, my wife is making coffee right now. All right, let's talk about shadows. Okay, we talked about shadows a little bit yesterday, but I want to talk about in particular one key element of shadows. Okay, I'm gonna bring in a couch. Okay, now I want this game to feel more like Half-Life. So I'm not going to use my Bioshocky looking couches. Instead, I'm going to use this very simple couch here. And we're going to also use this couch to discuss assets from the asset store and also asset flipping. Okay. But for now, we're going to use this couch to talk about lighting. Okay. Or I'm sorry, shadows. So I'm into play mode here. And I don't know where we got this couch from, but whatever. Thomas, why did you say Backrooms is easy to make? Because Backrooms, I'm not saying it's easy to make it good. I'm just saying if you wanted to make a Backrooms game, it would be easy to do. Because it relies heavily on liminal space, which liminal space, the whole point of liminal space is emptiness. So first off, when it comes to, let me close this out really quick. My computer's freezing on me. Yeah, there it goes. Completely frozen, guys. Are we still live? Yeah, we're still live. No, it's not necessarily selling courses that makes you money. It's having your own product. When you have your own product on YouTube, whether it's a game, whether it's an early access game or a pre-order or doing a Kickstarter campaign, selling courses, selling consulting, coaching. People want to learn from other people. They love people. Courses are one thing, or AI is one thing, but when you have an actual person teaching you something, it's just so much more rewarding. So people love that. When it comes to the scale of this chair, you'll notice that it was super big, so I'm going to scale it down a little bit. I think it opened up here. Let's double check. Woo! My computer's about to blow up. There it goes again. I'm going to save this scene before it crashes. It's this freaking Audacity. Yeah, it's taking forever to load. Sorry, guys. I shouldn't have downloaded that 10-hour one. Okay, let's talk about shadows. Okay. You'll notice that this couch, when I brought it into the scene, you'll notice that cast shadows is off. That's not the default in Unity. In fact, I have a script right here. I can't disassemble mesh renderer shadows. It goes through my entire project and kills all the shadows from every single prefab. It turns off cast shadows. That's the default for my projects. The reason why is because not everything needs to cast a shadow. If you do that, your game will be very slow, especially if you have really big scenes. Instead, what I like to do with shadows is I like to be very picky about, number one, which lights cast shadows, and number two, which objects cast shadows. It's a dance, and you got to be very picky. Okay? So for example, this light here, I turned on the shadows, remember? This light down here, I turned on the shadows. Okay? If I were to say, well, I need something to fill down here, like that. Maybe you need something to fill in this hole back here, all the way down there to create some sort of creepy vibe. Let's say we want that. Maybe there's a light down there, okay? This doesn't need to cast shadows. There's no reason why this should cast shadows. Like, look what happened. Look, the shadows are on. Is anything happening? No. So turn that sucker off. Nothing happened. Nothing's different. Yet it's still going to try and render shadows. So we want to make sure we turn that off, okay? Also, we don't want it that hot. Very subtle. There we go. All right, so I'm going to keep that there just as an example of a light that doesn't need a shadow. This one, does it need a shadow? Well, let's see what happens when we turn it off. Oh, wow, it feels kind of like a 90s game all of a sudden. But the moment you turn on shadows, oh, it kind of looks good. I like it way up high like that. And just scale up that. There we go. It's just too hot up there. By the way, if anyone's curious, Unity's light attenuation fall off sucks. Okay? I don't know how to describe it, but Unity's light is like this. It's like a triangle. At the right here at the center of the light, it's super hot and sharp. And then it falls off terribly. It's really strange. It's not very pretty. So you have to kind of play with it. Whereas, what you call it, Unreal is awesome. Has great fall off. Okay. Yeah, this is live. We're live right now. Okay, let me brighten this up a little bit though. But I do like those shadows. I really do. I wish it wasn't so hot right there. I wish you could adjust the heat of the light at the center. But of course you can't, because it's Unity. It's trash. But so we're gonna have to bring it down a little bit so it's not so hot. But I do like those shadows. I really do. Okay. I think we're good. To wrap up our conversation about real-time shadows, this would be a great opportunity to turn on a shadow. Okay? But you'll notice there's not a lot of drama here. It looks good, but there's not a lot of drama. So when you're creating a story game or a horror game, it's best to try and think of ways to create drama. Drama? Oh. Drama is something like this, where you position various elements to create long shadows. So you can imagine maybe a couch is sort of sitting right here, right? And you could go, okay, well, let's move this down to create length. Do you see? Being very specific about where your lights are. Which lights cast shadows, which ones don't. I think that's going to be a really small couch. Let's shift gears and go backwards in time now that Unity's opened up this 10-hour file. And I'm going to just create a 30-second file from it. Woo! We're going to set it to time. There we go. So that's like 15 minutes right there. There we go. I think. No. That's 15 seconds. Okay, so we want to make sure it loops properly. So you could see the mistake that I was about to make here. That's the start of the sound file. We just want to cut it here. Let's make sure it's going through the right setup here. Playback device. And by the way, if you're just joining us and you want to learn how to start a game studio from your bedroom, click the link below to check it out. See if it's something you're interested in. I've got a massive program for Black Friday, 50% off. You're going to learn everything I've learned in the last decade of making indie games. And that includes pitching to publishers. That includes 2D art, 3D art. That includes Unity, C#, marketing, how to get wish lists, how to hit the Steam front page, how to get Kickstarter campaigns funded. I've done all of this stuff, and I just decided, hey, I'm going to put it in one giant premium course. There's a private Discord server. There's 4,500 students worldwide. And hey, I'll also give you a shout out in Monday's live stream, just as a thank you. This sale event doesn't happen but once a year. This is true. So please check it out if you're even interested. Just click the link below and look at it. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee, no questions asked. I'm not going to hassle you or haggle you or whatever the word is. In fact, you're not even going to email me. You're going to email my assistant. I told him not to ask questions. Just give a refund. Okay, so let's listen to this here. Now, you're going to think this is odd, but I'm going to actually set the volume between -12 and -6. And the reason why is because I want all of my sounds, no matter what they are, even if it's a kitty cat meowing or a loud scream, I want it between -12 and -6. -10 is a good rule of thumb. So that every sound I import into Unity has a constant volume value. That gives me a lot of control when I import all my sounds, and then I can adjust the volumes. Otherwise, you get super confused. Everything has a strange volume. So you want everything to have a static volume when you export it, and then you can adjust the volumes inside of Unity. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Okay, here we go. I'm going to pump it up, guys. Sorry, it's going to be really loud. That looks about right. Pump it down a little bit. Now, the question is, does it loop well? Well, the way that you can check is, and by the way, this is Audacity. This is a free audio software. Super easy to learn, super easy to use. Let's double check the loop. I didn't even hear it. I did hear a little click. I heard a little click. Why did we hear that? I think that's because of Audacity. So we're good. I'm going to export that as it's not 10 hours of Backrooms. We're just going to call it Backrooms Ambience. Okay. Bing! Very good. Let's go to Unity here. And we're going to go to Ambience. Oh, no. It's actually a different file. It's this one right here. There it is. Audio source. I'm going to delete that one because that's our music. There's no music in Backrooms, is there? And we're going to type in ambience, and it should be in our file automatically. It should be in the file automatically, in the folder automatically. It's not for some reason. I don't know why that's the case. Must have missed the import. And I'm being really messy because I'm not really thinking about the project. There it is. Because I'm going to discard all of this stuff, but this is just for us to learn, okay? Tuckback says, I finally caved and downloaded Audacity. Wished I would have done it sooner. Yeah, it's because it's amazing. All right, here we go. Let's listen. Okay. So now that we have, by the way, the pitch is set to 0.8, we're going to set it to 1. 1 is the default. It was just 0.8 because of yesterday. I'm going to set the volume to like 0.1. You could even go 0.08. Very subtle. You don't want it too loud. Yeah, maybe even less. And you might be wondering, where's the carpet sound, Tommy? Well, I actually have something called, and I want to tell you about this. I have something called a sound manager. This is not a prefab. This is a scriptable object. And a scriptable object is basically a game object that just lives in the project hierarchy. It doesn't really live in the scene, but it can be referenced by game objects in the scene. And all it really does is it's a container of information and variables. And so if I go to my, I have something called ground/terrain sound groupings. I can go to carpet, and I can show you the script here if you want to see it. And I actually wrote this before AI became a thing, and I'm really proud of this script. The sad thing is this took me about, 12 hours to write. And Copilot could probably write this in 30 seconds now. But I'm going to open that up here. I'm going to delete that file, by the way, this 10 hours of Backrooms file, because I feel like my computer's about to blow up. Let me open that up. Give me just a sec, guys. Hey, Jude. All right. Okay. So yeah, this is the Sound Manager script. But it all it does is it just contains sound groups, a list, ground groups, a list. That's about it. But inside of those, it contains this doesn't look right. No, this can't be right. Oh, it's because these are different classes. Yep. So I got a sound group class, and inside that class, it contains all this cool stuff. Sound, and the audio clips and the strings and stuff. So anyway, I can add this texture to this giant list of textures. These textures are cross-checked when the player raycasts. The player controller will raycast down and it'll look at a texture and say, okay, is that texture in the Sound Manager? Is this texture in the Sound Manager? Yes, it is. What sound do I play? These. So I can add this to my list here. I'm going to select the texture here, right? It's called carpet. And I'm going to keep this inspector locked here, right there. And then I'm going to open up a new inspector. Okay. And that's so that I could select the carpet and then drag it into the scriptable object. So I'm going to go to my Sound Manager here. And now I can just go ahead and add this texture here, which is... Oh, crap. I'm going to unlock that. Wait, what? No, that was the right call. Crap. Sorry. There it is. There's the texture. I can drag it here. Come on, go down, Unity. There we go. Drag it in here. And so now we get that subtle grandma carpet footstep sound. Here we go. I'm going to close this. I've got a headache. I've got a headache. Let's hit play. Do you hear it now? Okay, so far so good, guys. Is it feeling backroomsy? You know, what makes it not feel like Backrooms, I will tell you, is the trim, the wood trim. In Backrooms, the wood trim is actually the same color. It's like a yellow. So I'm going to make sure that the colors change so that that can adjust to be sort of matchy-matchy with the walls. There we go. Okay, cool. Yes, Thomas, it feels backroomsy. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. What's next? What are we teaching about? Are we tracking okay with Thomas? Is everybody learning something? I hope so. We talked about lighting, we talked about shadows, we talked about optimization, decals, okay? With a game like this, where we have every surface is pretty much flat, we can go ahead and start adding subtle decals. Now, what a decal is all it is a transparent quad with a cool texture on it. That's it. So if I wanted to, I could go to like our carpet texture here, and I'm going to double the size here. I'm going to merge all these layers together because we're not actually going to use this carpet texture, but I'm just going to, this is the thing about game dev. You could just jump inside of another file and then just save it. And I just sort of duplicate files over and over again, honestly. But I'm going to create like a looping texture here, just so I have a reference point. And don't underestimate the value of having a reference point while you're designing some art. Now, obviously, guys, we could we could just go ahead and Google like on textures.com like a stain texture or something. But what I'm going to do while just so I don't waste your time, I'm going to type in carpet stain PNG on Google, and I'm just going to grab a carpet stain PNG. Okay, so we don't have any on Google. So I'm actually going to, I'm actually going to go on textures.com. I'm going to use some of my credits because I love you guys. And we're going to go ahead and look at some carpet stains here. Stain decal. Let's see what we got. I know. Hold on. I know you can't see my screen. I think, yep, there we go. I'm going to just grab this one right here. And I'm just going to save credits, I'm just going to use 3. And that's 1600 by 101. I'm going to open this up in Photoshop. It's a PNG file. Yay. And I just want to see how it looks on the carpet. You'll say, okay, well, that doesn't look very good, right? So what we're going to do here is I'm just going to drop down the lightness all the way. So it's kind of like a dirty, ugly brown. There we go. You could get away with a low saturation green if you wanted to. That's it. That's our stain. All I'm going to do is make this stain. We're going to trim it up. Click trim in Photoshop so it's a nice trim. I'm going to save this as carpet stain decal. Now you're going to want to be much more organized with your files, please God. But in this case, for me, I'm not going to worry about organization. Okay? Because I'm trying to be quick here. I don't want you guys to get bored. I want the views. Okay. Let's move our decal over here. Control-Shift-F brings the decal over here. Do we want it to cast shadows? Anybody? Do we want our decal to cast shadows? This is a pop quiz. Do we want our decals to cast shadows? Answer the question. No. Good. Turn that crap off. And decals, there's one way to do a decal, position a decal so it's flat. I can hold V and pick one of the vertexes, click and drag, and it'll snap. Okay? The problem with this is what? Does anyone know what this is called? If I snap this to this corner here, what's this called? What do we call that? That's Z fighting. Good job. Yay, A pennant. Here's some candy. I'm going to grab this and bring this texture onto the quad. Okay. I'm going to set it to be transparent. And I'm going to just make sure that I bring it up just a little bit. Now, what do you see here? We see a lot of white. It's like, what? Well, one of the reasons there's white is because there's smoothness, default smoothness. That's reflection of the shine of the light. Well, Mama, we don't want that. We don't want it to be shiny. Why would we want it to be shiny? So let's turn it off. But Mama, there's more. The decal is, there's white. Well, we need to go into the actual texture file and make sure we turn off, make sure alpha or move PSD matte. Apply. All that does, this is sort of an age-old issue with transparency. Essentially, when importing transparent objects, Unity doesn't know what the halfway transparent pixels should be. It doesn't quite know. It doesn't know what underneath it should be. It's hard to explain. Just click that button. And if you see any fuzzy white stuff, that sounds weird. But if you see any fuzzy white stuff in your decal, that's why. We're getting some other fuzzy, the smoothest value we need to turn off. Burp, there we go. So there's our decal. I'm seeing a little bit of white there, and I'm not sure why. Wait, that wasn't it. No, it was. I'm seeing a little bit of white there, and I don't know why. I think it's because of the decal, it's the actual stain itself. We might need to expand the canvas a little bit more. The Trouble with Decals by Thomas Brush. And you might be thinking, well, why would we need a decal? Decals make an environment look like it's not a game. I mean, that's the best way I can describe it. It creates variability. So I'm going to call this decal decal stain. And look, you can use these all over the place with rotation. Okay. And you could scale them up, right? And by the way, do we need a mesh collider on this? Heck no. We don't need a mesh collider. We can just move these all over the place. I will be completely honest with you guys. I don't know why there's a subtle white. I'm not sure what that is. What I'm going to do is go into Unity or Photoshop and fade out the edges and see if that solves it. It doesn't. I have never seen this issue before, actually. I think it's fine, but I don't know why that's happening. It kind of bothers me. Oh, it's this. I think it's that. Ah, I know what it is. It's this. Preserve specular lighting. Turn that off. There we go. Okay, we figured it out. Thank God. Yay. All right, our quads look good, baby. I'm going to go back to Photoshop and remove those masks. And then there we go. So we got all these ugly stains, and we can just place them all over the place really quick. And I'll show you guys why this is so valuable. Rotate them. And you'll notice that the top view of maps sometimes have the decal sticking out like that. I know some people don't like that. I mean, I can imagine people don't like that. But, oh, you'll notice the rotation's wrong. We need to make sure it's set to nice, clean values. 90 by -90. Yes, nice, clean values, baby. Is that one a nice, clean value? It is. Good. 90, 90. That's not 90. -46 is rotating along the y-axis. This is going to be -90. There we go. And you're probably thinking, oh, it looks really, it's too much, Thomas. It's too much. Well, hang on. Don't be so greedy and selfish. You want everything. Because we're all on the same plane here, we've got some sweet decals. Now let's take a look and let's see, okay, well, how's this look? It's a little much, huh? So let me show you. What you can do is, because it's a Photoshop document, I can go in and reduce the opacity. Let me kill the occlusion data, by the way. I have occlusion culling data, and we'll talk about occlusion culling in a second, but I'm going to clear that. That's why we're getting flickering. I'm going to merge these together here and just reduce the opacity, and that should do. Okay. I had this issue yesterday where I was trying to clear occlusion culling data from this scene, and it froze, and I could not figure out why. I don't know why. Okay, we got it. Thank God. Thank you, Lord. Okay, so this is why decals are so valuable. So instead of this being a giant 4K carpet with various stains on it, now it feels like a real environment, but it's all just a looping texture with decals. You see? We can increase the saturation just a little bit. Yep. All right. Good. Now we could also, if we wanted to, this is one thing I'm not 100% sure about, but I believe that if you wanted to have a faster decal that was, more efficient, you could go to opaque instead of transparent and just do a heavy alpha clip. It's just not going to look nearly as good. Okay. So that looks kind of toony, which is not bad. And then we can reduce the opacity of it. Yeah, it's just problematic. It's not going to look great. Yeah, but you can do that if you want. But in my case, I'm just going to do this. That looks awesome. But look, we can use this decal all over the place, guys. I can flip it up like this. Just make sure you're using clean 90 degrees. So we'll do 180. 90 plus 90 is. And then we're going to put that here, Should you do decals before a level is done or after a level is done? Who knows the answer? Should you do decals before a level is done or after a level is done? Who knows? Who knows the answer to that beautiful, wonderful question? Whoops. That's right. Do not, I plead with you, and I beg you, in the name of, in the name of the king, do not do decals until you're absolutely sure your level is done. And I'll explain why in a second, but I'm just showing it to you for now. So guys, look how cool this room looks now. It's just these subtleties that make it feel lived in. I will tell you that for big, story games and shooter or horror games, what you're really aiming for is you're aiming for a sense of immersion. So decals like this aren't super important in my opinion for like friend sloppy games, although it could help, I guess. But for immersive games, immersive horror games, it just basically subconsciously brings the player into the world. And we'll talk about triggers and sound triggers and all that stuff in a second and how that can help as well. But your goal is to try and get the player to forget that they're alive. You want them to think, oh my word, I just entered the back rooms. You can see why they're so valuable. Look at that wall versus this. And you can always take it too far, of course. But overall, pretty sweet, huh? Okay. That's decals. That makes sense? Texture variation. I'll show you one quick thing about texture variation. So I can take this one texture for, let's say, a ceiling panel, okay? Let's do it with our ceiling panel. I can take this ceiling panel here and I can go, you know what? I want one of them to look like it's been popped out. Is that yeah, that's a ceiling panel. Yep. I could do that. And then I could sort of maybe make it look kind of 3D by doing something like this. We're just sort of mimicking it, especially if the player is far away. We could just mimic a 3-dimensional ceiling panel. Like there's darkness through that ceiling panel. Like it's been popped out. So let's try that. We're just mimicking sort of a 3-dimensional look here. I'm going to save this as ceiling tile broken. And then I'm going to do another one, which is all of them. And we're going to see if this looks good, okay? And I'm going to guess that this ceiling tile here, this is going to be too big. And I'm going to need to add some adjustments. But this one's ceiling tile all broken. Now let's go ahead and go back into our backrooms world. And let's go ahead and create a material from that ceiling tile. So this is going to be called ceiling tile broken. And then this one's going to be ceiling tile broken 2. Thomas, I could do this, or let's do broken all. Thomas, I could do this with decals. You could absolutely do this with decals, or you can do it with texture. I'm going to do it with texture so that I have clean control on the grid. So I could take this one here. Okay. And let's see, I'm going to take all of these here. And I'm going to do, come on, select, you mother effer. Hold on. I'm going to take these stain decals here. I'm going to lock them all, or lock the ability to touch them, because it's causing some problems. I'm trying to select them. This is the big problem with Pro Builder, is selecting faces can be a real pain in the butt. Okay, remember the broken one? I'm going to drag that there, but you notice that nothing happened, and that's because I didn't add the new texture. Okay, there it is. So we have one ceiling tile broken there. It looks fine. And then we're going to do this one with the all one. Okay, not there. We're going to do it right here. There we go. So that one's all, but nothing's changing, and that's because we haven't brought in our new texture. There it is. Good. Okay, so it looks bad. Let me show you what we need to do. You can even get away with just doing a fade. Okay, so you can do this, and all it looks like is it's like, okay, well maybe it's the panel sort of pushed in, and the way to make it look pushed in is this. Give me just a sec here. There we go. I don't know why it looks so bad. Hang on one sec. Okay. I will show you in a sec here. So that looks like the panel is a little bit pushed in. This one I'm okay with. This one I'm going to fix, I promise. This one I'm actually okay with how dark it is. What we can do with this one is just extrude it up. You see? That's why I like everything on a grid. You can just create all sorts of cool extrusions. That's a little thick, so I'm just going to do that. This is stuff you want to do after the fact. This one I could extrude if I wanted to, like this. Just to create subtle details, subtle changes. I think it's fine. It's not my favorite. Another option is this. I'll show you. Another option is to do something like this. But I really want the texture to look good. So what I want to do is take this here. I'm going to extrude. Sec, guys, one sec. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Do that, and then what you can do is you could take these and collapse them. And collapse this. And collapse that. But then you're going to have to go in and fix all of the UVs. But that's fine for now. I mean, it's something. But if we wanted to, I could clean up that texture more. So for example, something that could be really cool is to actually take the, I don't know why I love this stuff, but I could take this right here and I could scale it up. So it's like a single piece and it looks like it's been sort of placed in there, you know. I could, let me go and sharpen it a little bit. Looks a little blurry. There we go. And then I could take this and maybe do like, some sort of weird, I don't know, almost like it's a vent or something. I'm just trying to create some texture on that ceiling. I'll show you what I mean. Do a little bit of a bevel here. I will show you what I mean in just a sec, guys. I'm going to get the color right too. I don't know what it is, you know. I'm just sort of playing with it to see what it's going to do. Yeah, something like that. And then we'll colorize it. And I'm going to add a little bit of texture to it as well, so it sort of matches. Drop it down. Save it and see what it looks like. Yeah. I don't really care. I mean, we could probably get away with this. Let me show you. Something like this. I could make this super dark, make it look like a hole. Let me increase this here. We're going to figure it out, I promise. Something like this could work. Yeah, so it's like broken. That could work too. All right. And then just a subtle highlight here. Just like that. Let's see here. Where is this? Yep, I got it. There we go. Got a subtle highlight or something. Just like it's broken. That's not my best work. But you get the idea, right? You know what? We could probably get rid of this rim now. Because it kind of looks like it's a broken piece. Yeah. And then I can take this and bring it down like that. Yeah, that'll work actually. Look. This might actually work, guys. I love that knocking. And I think what we'd want to do is just make it so that there's almost like light faintly filling in this darkness. Let's grab all of this here. There we go. I'm going to blur it a little bit too. There we go. Yeah, I love that knocking. It's so creepy. Okay. And then the idea is to be able to do something without actually I really want to figure this out. This one I'm really interested in. The idea is to get something working without requiring any mesh changes. This would probably look good in corners. In fact, I know that's true. Let me do something. And by the way, let's make it brown. This needs to be like a brown color. Come on. Why isn't that working? What's going on? What? Okay, but now I'm getting frustrated. There it goes. Okay. So it is working. I wonder if it's because there's a shine to it. Couldn't tell you. I wonder why that's so dark. It's not dark once you get close to it, but it'll look good, really, really good in corners though. So for example, if I went over here and I did the tile broken large, there it is. Yep. I'm gonna set that to here we go. You could rotate it so that it's nice and clean. I don't know why this one got screwed up. It's a mystery to me. It was going so well. There we go. Just do it like this. Yes, there we go, Tommy. You figured it out, buddy. You figured it out, dude. Yes, I did. We almost panicked there. We're okay. Yeah, in corners, it'll look really good. Really, really good. There we go. This one, we're going to just set it back to what this is here. And so that's texture variation, right? I will admit, I don't love this one. Let's just go to ceiling tile. There it is. Set material. There we go. Yeah, there we go. And then this one here, we'll just bring back. And we'll need to collapse those vertices because there's like 16 vertices right there. But yeah, hopefully you get the idea of how you use texture, to create some variation in your scene. Honestly, what I'm going to do here, I want to show you something. This is driving me crazy. I'm sorry, guys. What I want to do here, it's driving me crazy. I want to go to this here and put this on top of this. I don't know why that darkness looks so bad. But what I want to do is make it look like there's something underneath it. That's really all I want to do. Just make it look like something's underneath it. Let me save that and see how that looks. Okay, that doesn't work. It's weirdly, I wonder if we need to turn off the... No, I don't know why that's happening. Why is that so dark? Let me try this here. Okay, that's better. There we go. Okay, yay. All right, guys. My credibility has been officially maintained. And then we're just gonna add a little bit of a shadow there, so it looks elevated. There we go. Now I don't know exactly what this means. Don't ask me. But it looks fine from a distance. Yep, it does. Okay, good. That's all I really care about. It's just a piece that's broken. Look at that. Does Thomas win? I think he does. And we can grab this here as well and do it over there. We're learning on the job, folks. One more, just because I really care about proving my point here. I can actually just rotate this, the UV. We should be good. There we go, Tommy. All right, guys. And then we got to clean that up. I don't know what happened here, but we're just going to fix that really quick. Grab our wallpaper. Okay, let's enter play mode and take a look at our decals and also our texture variations. Now you can imagine, look at that. We could also use texture variation for the carpet. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into that. Or actually, let me explain something here. We can do texture variation to create subtle differences in the actual wallpaper itself. Okay, so for example, or like this is a great option to do some cool textures here. So like on this panel down here. So let's go to, oh, and I want to show you something. Oh, there's so many things I want to do. Half-Life does this so well. Half-Life has texture that is meant to be looped along the horizontal, but not vertically. And let me explain what I mean. If we go to, let's say textures.com, I'm going to type in wallpaper. Okay. And we'll make this like match with backrooms. This one's fine, I guess. I'm going to grab this one. I'm going to download this and I'm going to open up in Photoshop. And I want it to be the same exact size as the other wallpaper. Okay? I want it to be the exact same size as the other wallpaper. By the way, if you're just joining us, just remember you can join Full-Time Game Dev below. Thomas, you've been talking a lot about this course sale. What's going on, dude? Well, it's Black Friday, and every year I do a big, huge promotion. This is the biggest one I have done all year, and it only happens once a year, okay? I'm going to do a square, though, like this. It's not, hold on, let me finish this ad read. 50% off for Full-Time Game Dev for Black Friday. If you want to learn everything I've learned in the last decade of making indie games. I'm on my third commercial release currently published by 3D Realms. If you want to learn how to pitch to publishers, how to get funded on Kickstarter, how to hit the Steam front page, how to get wish lists, how to do devlogs on YouTube, how to do 2D art, how to do 3D art, how to code in Unity, how to do Unity, Godot, or Unreal, how to reach out to the press and get press coverage, how to stream, get streamers to play your game. I'm going to teach you how to do it. Oh, these teachers, all these YouTubers, they just teach what they don't know and they pretend like they're smart. They do. A lot of them do. I've actually done all this stuff. I'm in the trenches with you guys, okay? If you don't believe me, just look up my Kickstarter campaigns. Look up my games on Steam. They have very positive scores. Even my demo for Twisted Tower, which I'm currently working on now, that has very positive, over 1,000 reviews. I do have credibility, and I want to teach you guys what I've learned. So check out that link below. And if you're a student, let me know in the chat what you think about the program. Okay, I don't like that wallpaper. It's trash. I'm going to type in Backrooms wallpaper here. Oh, we have some more. Yay. Okay, look at this. This one's great. I want to show you guys look at it. Okay, by the way, a lot of you don't really know. In your heads, you're probably unsure. Why does that look so good? It's what I was talking about with Half-Life. Half-Life has horizontal looping only textures. So let me, this is a great example. This doesn't, this does. Let me show, it's going to blow your mind. I've never even done this. We don't do this in Twisted Tower. I saw it in Half-Life and I thought, that looks so good and there's a reason why. So I want to show it to you. I'm going to take this and do that. And I'm actually going to double the width of this. You know what? I'm going to double I'm going to do 200 by 200. I want to show you what I mean. Actually, no. I'm so excited about this. If you can't tell, guys, I love making games so much. I love it so much. It's just so much fun. I just love doing this. But I'm gonna actually double the width as well. Now, obviously, what I'm about to show you, you can do with decals. You absolutely can, and that's totally fine. But we're not going to do it with decals. We're going to do it with a nice, clean unwrap. Or a nice, clean, single texture. I'm going to go to textures.com, and I'm going to type in decal, grime, decal, wall dirt. There we go. Something like this. Decal wall There we go. I want it to be that muddy grunge. Okay, that's what we want. Yay! I found it. I'm going to download this. I'm going to show you guys what I mean here. I don't know why, but we never did this in Twisted Tower, and it really busts my balls. I wish we did. I really do. But this is what I mean. This is what I mean by horizontal. The purpose is a horizontal tiling, but not a vertical tiling. You see? And I'm going to set it to overlay so it blends a little bit better. And I'm going to even do a little bit of like subtle, who knows, ambient occlusion. And it's not going to loop perfectly. And I want to show you why it's not going to loop perfectly. But I'm going to go wallpaper striped yellow grunge top. I don't know. Yep, so I'm going to grab this, go to Pro Builder, and I'm going to grab all of these, okay? It might help to do a little bit something like this. Let's see here. If I press F, there we go. I'm going to grab, as long as I don't have select hidden on, this should work just fine. Yeah, there it goes. But that's the problem with Pro Builder. Select face ring. Yep, even still. We're going to have to do it manually, guys. And that's okay. That's okay. I'm going to do it with this wall first, just to show you guys so you don't get impatient. I know a lot of you are selfish and impatient, so I just want to cater to you. Wallpaper, striped yellow. We're going to call this grunge top. And I'm going to grab that grunge top texture and stick it here. And then I'm going to put that here. Yep, right there. There we go. And you can see here, it's kind of ugly, right? So what we need to do is we need to make sure, let's go to select by material here. There we go. And I'm going to go to my UV editor and I'm going to set it to, let's see here, 16 is good, but we're going to need to position it. Okay. So we're going to position here. Now 16 is not, 16 is not big enough. So it could be that we need to scale the texture down. The texture might be just too big. I think that's probably, yeah, it's a pretty big texture. We could probably bring it down by, I feel like we could get away with 50%. I'm going to try it, see what happens. Why didn't that do anything? It should. I don't know why that didn't do anything. Oh, but it's okay. Let's see, point 0.1 by 0.1. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Now, one thing I don't like about Pro Builder, I probably need to go into the settings, is that yellow color when you select something. It's so ugly. Yeah, 0.1 is a little much, so we're going to do 0.15. That should do it. Yeah. Yep, that's good. Okay, let's do it with every single wall in here, okay, guys? We'll stop it there. We'll stop it. We'll start one there. And then we're going to drag that in. Same one here. Okay, but we want to make sure, I'm going to select by material. I'm going to make sure that all of these are nice and all the same. Okay, so again, I'm going to go to what was it, 0.015? Was that what it was? I can't remember. It was 0.125, I think. We're going to convert to auto. We're going to go to planar here. Yep, convert back to auto, go to 16. No? Dang it. It's losing its unwrap. I think we're okay. Yeah. We're almost there, guys. Okay, there we go. All right. So now what I'm going to do is make sure we're getting a nice, clean putting the grunge at the top there. There we go. You're noticing that it's not looping perfectly, right? And that we on the horizontal. So I'm going to show you that in a sec here. But having it positioned so that the grunge is at the top there coming down is what makes this look so good. That looks bad. Watch this. This looks good. Okay. All right, so hang tight. Let's open up Photoshop and I want to show you something. If we wanted to loop perfectly, we can merge all the layers together. And if I duplicate it and then flip it horizontally and then fade it out, look. Now we'll get a perfectly clean loop. Right? Now it's a little bit squashed, right? So we're going to go to select by material, just like that. And we're just going to scale it so that we're not getting that weird squashing. There we go. I'm going to move it up. That looks good. That's weird. I couldn't tell you actually why that happened. Welcome to Pro Builder, baby. And also welcome to Thomas in the middle of a live stream. That's just what happens, I guess. Usually it should fix itself by when I set it to planar. You know? That's usually what happens is when it fixes itself, but it's just we're in the middle of a live stream. Of course that happened. Let's scale it up manually like this here. Why can't you scale? There we go. I don't know why. Look at that. That's crazy. What happened? That's life. That's what all the people say. But hopefully you guys get the picture here. I don't know what happened. It's so weird. I'm gonna just, what I like to do is when I'm like completely floundering, I like to clean up everything else so that it's not in the back of my mind. And then I can go to this one and go, okay, so what the F happened? What are we talking about here? Look, there's no for some reason there's no trim there. But it's whatever. We will fix that. We will fix it. This one I can't quite figure out, man. I don't know what happened here. It's almost like we need to... Okay, it's whatever, guys. It's whatever. Oh, I want it to look perfect. I want it to look perfect, so we're going to make it look perfect. Here we go. We're going to make this look perfect. My brain has to see it perfect, or I'll go crazy. Hold on one sec, guys. I'm going to grab all of these, and I'm going to go back to convert to manual. I'm going to set it to planar. Okay. Convert to auto. Offset 0. 16. Okay, this is nice and clean. That's not bad. This one looks great. That one looks good. That one looks good. This, something happened here and my brain hurts. Okay, this is how I'm going to fix it. Watch. There we go. That's how we're going to fix this. Okay, mama. And then now we can scale them up. I'll be so happy if this works. If some of you are thinking, wow, this would never happen to me in game dev. It's like, well, good for you, but that's not my experience ever. My experience always is this stuff always happens. It always does. And it's like, what? And I'm sure obviously there's a solution here. I just don't know what it is. I don't know what happened. But yeah. Cool. Hey, this isn't perfect over here, but we don't have time to make it perfect. But let's enter play mode here. All right. So that looks right. This is wrong. That is right. Yeah, okay. We're going to fix that. These are too small. Yeah, those are too small. Select by material. Select it like this here. And we're going to make these bigger. And we'll move on to the next topic here, I promise. There we go. All right. I love that little piece there. That looks great. It really does. Okay. So we've got, does that make sense, guys? We've got the use of horizontal tiling textures only. And the goal of those is to have that subtle dirt at the top there. This is my kind of game, by the way. I love games that have this clean, boxy look. I got to fix that over here. But that's good. That one's screwed up. What about over here? Yeah, so that one's not showing the texture at the top there for some reason, and I'm going to go crazy. I gotta see it. I gotta see it to completion. There's the grunge. Okay. Okay, the grunge, we found it. Okay, we're almost there, guys. I promise. I just gotta scale it just a little bit. And then we're good. Oh, there it is, baby. And then this right here, I don't know what happened. It's so frustrating. We're gonna go back to auto. We're gonna go to planar. Convert 4:8. Scale up. Crap! I will tell you that Pro Builder is kind of frustrating. I'm sure there's something I'm doing wrong here, but it's fine. There we go, guys. I think it's fixed. Oh, so close, so close. All right. There we go. Look, it did it again. Oh, that's so frustrating. That's so frustrating. Let's rotate it. I could tell you, actually. It was probably something we did yesterday in a rush because we're streaming. But overall, man, hey, this is awesome. What's the next thing on our list? Oh, guys, doesn't that look great? Super eerie. Thomas, that was really unprofessional how you did that. Well, it looks pretty good, though. I mean, come on. I love the way this looks. Okay. What else is on our list to teach today? Decals, texture variation, lighting, animation. All right. You asked for it. I'll give it to you. We're going to do lighting animation. Guys, every little thing, every little detail is so important. Okay, so we have this light decal here. But we also have this light here, right? Let me close Pro Builder. I'm going to save the scene. We have this light decal, and we have this. I'm going to group these together. Okay? And so now we have this light, okay? And I actually don't want that decal to cast a shadow because that's just a waste. Turn that off. Okay, I have this one light here. Now I can make a prefab out of this if I wanted to. I'm going to call it flickering light. The light decal is flickering, but I also want this point light to flicker as well. Okay, so I can just go ahead and just add this to my animation. You can write a script for lights flickering, which is totally fine. My current scripts are kind of trash for flickering light, so I'm just going to animate it really quick. Flickering light animation. And this helps you show kind of how a light can be flickered. And also, I want to talk about how we can occlude out animations so they don't play all the time. We don't want that. So I'm just going to do subtle flickering. The reason I like to animate light flickers these days is because flickering at lights with random scripts can get really headache inducing really fast. So I like to sort of have complete control over our lights flickering. This one I can do a little bit slow. No. Yeah, I like it that this slow one is much better. It's easier on the eyes, baby. Yep, that's great. I'm going to copy that and just let it sit for like 5 seconds. Yes. That's great. That's all we need, okay? And then we're going to go to the animation itself. And we're going to say, cull completely. And if I bake the occlusion data, it'll cull out those animations. Pretty straightforward. That way they're not always flickering all the time. How is this no experience when you are a seasoned dev? So this video is for people with no experience who want a broad overview of how a 3D level is designed. So that's what it's for people who have no experience. Let's see if it flickers. There it goes. Subtle details, guys. Isn't that cool? Now, I want to talk to you guys about one more thing here, or a couple things here. Sound triggers. Okay, so I have sound triggers already written into my game. Sound trigger. There it is. And all they are is little box colliders that I place strategically throughout a scene, and they will play a sound effect. Now, you would think that this is something that's kind of an afterthought. It's like, what's the big deal? Why do we need this? But in fact, these are crucial to making a game feel alive. The world should react. This is something that Valve has taught me in terms of just playing their games and watching their documentaries. Every like 15 seconds, something happens. And the world reacts to the player so frequently. It's amazing. It's like honestly, you kind of have to treat it like it's a haunted house where every step there's something new and unique happening. So I can have this sound trigger play when I walk through it. I'm not going to go into the details of the scripts. But all the script really does is it says, hey, play this sound when I touch the trigger. That's about it. It's a little bit more complicated than that because it saves and stuff, so it doesn't play all the time. And so yeah, I could play like a giggle sound. I think I have some giggle sounds. Jump scare giggle. I think that might work. Maybe let's try that. Let's try that and see what happens. Right? So you can play sounds. Now that's kind of silly. So instead what I'm going to do is footsteps. I think I have some footsteps one. Come on. Okay, we can have a scream play. A distant scream. How's that? Let's try that. I just don't want to have to find a new sound for you guys. This is just to tell you why it's so important to have sound triggers. Hear that? And by the way, this is what it currently looks like with the decals, with the texture rework, with the lighting adjustments. Doesn't this, I mean, it's obviously not as good, but it has that kind of fidelity of, I'm about to put myself out there here and on a limb. Go out on a limb here and say it kind of has that Portal, Half-Life 1 and 2 vibe. It's got that level of texture work. especially for a block out, right? Whereas this, if you go down here, you can see why it's so important to use decals. This is like, oh. But if you go over here, it's like, oh, that's why we use decals. And that's why we use horizontal looping textures. Okay? All right. Let's see here. Let's see here. What else we got here? Yep, Adam and I are going to have to reschedule, unfortunately. It's been one of those weeks. One of those weeks. Yeah, I had a meeting with Adam, Eunice, but it's just been insane this week. Maybe I could do that on Tuesday. Let's see here. Okay, here we go. I don't know. I think my meeting with Adam was next week. I thought it was next week. Yeah, it's next week. Who said that I have a meeting with Adam? Let me double check. I might have a podcast with him. Well, there he is. There he is. He's like probably really pissed. And that's my fault. I'm so sorry, man. I was in the middle of a stream. And my phone, I'm blaming my phone. And my phone, it really didn't throw me the calendar event. Ugh. And it didn't, by the way. Maybe we can do Monday. That's gonna be a good podcast, though. I love Adam when he comes on. Man, I feel really bad actually. Adam jumped in the chat. Oh man. Yeah, I wanted to get these workshops. This is what's so funny is I delayed these workshops last week. Let's see here. So the next thing we want to jump into is let's see here. Set dressing. Okay, so let's talk about set dressing. A lot of people, when they're thinking about set dressing, especially a horror environment, what they're thinking is, I'm going to put a bunch of chairs in this room. I could put one here. You know, I'll put one there. And then I'll put one over here. Right? I'll put one over here. And then put one over here. And the more you add to a scene that feels liminal, the less scary it becomes. I found this is really true. I really have. Instead, being very strategic about where you place things, and being simple and clean is actually much scarier. So let me show you an example here. I can take one couch. This is especially true with backrooms games. If I put it directly in the center, as if it was intentionally placed just for me. Placed just for me. And we'll talk about color in a second. But if I do something like this, with a light, maybe I could find a lamp. On a table, you know? So let's find a side table. And then we'll put the lamp on there. So these are from Twisted Tower, so they're not perfect. But actually, that's great. This right here could actually work just fine. Okay. So we can use lighting to our advantage and not dress the scene too much. Okay. So let's make sure these are big enough first, and then we'll talk about lighting. Yeah, and a burning cigarette and an ashtray. That's right. Okay. So this is kind of the idea, but we're going to use lighting to our advantage. Okay, that couch is tiny, by the way. And also we're going to rework, we're going to do a little bit of asset flipping as well. We're going to do 2.1 by 2.1 by 2.1. This one, same thing. We'll go to 1.5, 1.5, 1.5. Okay. So let me show you kind of what I mean by using symmetry, simplicity, centrality, and lighting to our advantage. I'm going to move this chair. Let's imagine the chair being like right here. And we walk through this hall and we see this creepy chair. Okay. I could take this light source here and turn on the shadows and make it cast a spooky light. And we're gonna use what we learned about lighting and shadows in just a sec here. Put it like just like that. Drop this down. This guy, I'm gonna move over a little bit closer. Flickering light here, yep. Just like this. And drop the range down so that I can have it right there. And then we're going to have one light here. It's going to be pretty broad, but we're going to have a nice big shadow being cast. And this is what I was talking about earlier, where we're not going to light practically. We're going to light for the moment, for the scene. Hopefully this will create a really cool shadow for us. Make sure we make this light turn on with shadows. Yep. Getting some long shadows. That's the goal. There we go. It's just so hot, you know? So let's bring the intensity down. I think that'll do. We can angle it a little bit. I kind of want it nice and center, but yeah, that does actually look pretty good right here. So we're using light, and we can use one more light source, guys. Go bring it sort of towards the middle here and create some sort of almost like a scatter. Okay, there we go. So that's how you use lighting, symmetry, and liminal space, honestly, to set dress. So that it's more of it's almost like being a graphic designer where you go, okay, I want something over here and then one thing over here, create some balance in that shot. It's like you're like a photographer. You see? As opposed to just throwing couches around and just saying, okay, I'm done. You're thinking, I have to be a videographer here, a cinematographer here. And think about every moment, right? The player walks into this scene. What do we want it to look like? A creepy couch over here. You want to guide the eye. Throw in a rug. Now let's use color. Okay. This is sort of the final talking point here. Let's use some color to make this scene really work. This couch does not match our scene, nor does the rug. So let's quickly adjust our rug color to be like a green. Color's so important. We're going to use like a greenish color here. I don't love that. This is a custom one I did 4 years ago. Save it. Yeah, there we go. And then we can, with backrooms, you really don't want complementary color going on. And also when you're flipping assets, you want to make sure that the textures match, like the texture fidelity matches. So this texture is a little bit too soft and not dirty enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take the carpet texture and I'm going to use that to create some visual cohesion with our chairs. This is definitely not, here, let's make this a PSD. Where's our freaking carpet? There we go. So I'm going to grab this here, copy that. And obviously you could create a tile. Actually, let's just go ahead and create a pattern. I'm going to define a pattern here. Boom, we're gonna call that carpet. And then if I create a new pattern here, it should show up. There it is. There we go. I'm gonna scale it up a little bit. I'm gonna set it to overlay. And then we also, we wanna just adjust our coloring here. We don't want it to be green, we want it to be an ugly yellow. There we go. That's our chair. So I can grab that chair texture, this right here, and I can just drag it in and put it there. Okay, let's increase the texture, the twill, decrease the twill size. Is that the word twill? There we go, save it. Good. I'm gonna reduce the normal mappage and no smoothness, so it's just a dull, flat chair. Ugh. I think we could actually get away with red. This is a little too green. I'm gonna make it yellow. Same thing here, guys. Let's go ahead and add some of that carpet pattern. There we go. So it has a little bit more fidelity to it. There we go. See how we're slowly creating visual cohesion. This I'm going to make it red, an ugly, dingy red. Saturation up, and then watch this. I'm going to create some. I don't know if it's going to work, but we're going to try it. Just some subtle shifts in tone. Yeah, and then I'm also going to throw some disgusting vomit on it. Okay. Chair. Now, it's not going to be perfectly unwrapped, I will tell you. So you kind of have to play with it a little bit. This is more of an asset flipping thing, as opposed to creating it from scratch where you'll use like Substance Painter. But yeah, that's fine, actually. I don't see a huge problem with that. And what you could do is sort of fade out all the edges and just use it as kind of a stamp. Just create some disgust, you know. A lot of games from the early 2000s, and frankly, games even now, everything's dirty. And I think the reason why is because it's an easy way to make things look good, and like have that high fidelity. Yeah, there we go. There we go. This is very clean. So again, we're talking about asset flipping here. Let's pretend this is an asset. This is not. I think this is a custom. This might be. No, this is custom. Felipe did this one. Regardless, to create visual cohesion, sometimes you can just grab textures from your game and bring them into all the other textures and create this cohesion. You're like, what? You want to use carpet? I guess. We're going to create some subtle, just rustic. I can even add a ton of sharpness to this. I'm just trying to add a little bit of texture to everything. I know that sounds weird, but just hang tight. And then I can go to that grunge that we have and bring that in as well. Yes. Just grungify all of this. Now, obviously, you want to do this in your Substance Painter files. But in this case, because these are already sort of baked and Felipe did these a long time ago, I'm fine with just adding some grunge here. See? So now things look like there's a little bit more cohesion. I'm going to reduce the shine. I don't really care about metallic, to be honest, because I want it to have that sort of flat Half-Life. I don't know why, but I love the flat tone of Half-Life games. There's not a lot of shine. Do you guys see what we're doing here? Does this make sense? Let me turn the sound on. There's cohesion here, and it doesn't really look asset flippy, if I'm being honest. Looks good, actually. Maybe I should make this. One final thing I wanted to show you is I'm just going to add an audio source to the lamp. Why not? I mean, I guess I could find a radio. Maybe I have a radio here. Yeah, I have a radio. Yeah, we could just throw a radio. No, that's too interactable. We don't have time for that. There's a bunch of interaction stuff on that. So I could just throw an audio source on here. I'm going to make it 3D. I'm going to set it to a custom roll-off. I'm going to set it to 100. And you can see where it's going to go, by the way. So that's way too big. So I want it to just be a subtle reverby sound that's playing as I come in the room of like jazz, old jazz, you know. So set this to loop here. And I'm going to see if there's any public domain songs that we've got. There we go. I'm going to set it to loop. Reverb zone mix, I'm going to set it to 1, but make sure we have a reverb zone, right? So I'm going to go to audio reverb zone. I'm going to set it to right here. This room is going to have a room reverb. This stuff matters, guys. It really does. We're just going to do a standard room. And if you can't tell, I'm ready to start my new game. Because I'm just excited. I'm going to set this to 0.7 with a volume of 0.4. Also, our backroom's ambient sound was way too loud, so we're going to 0.2. And we're going to start the player here, and let's see how it feels. There's a little bit too much Doppler. See? So what we can do is set the Doppler level to, is it 5 or 0? I can't remember. We're going to set it to really quiet. No. That was the backroom's ambience. This is the Doppler. Yeah. So we need to go to our lamp. Set the Doppler level to 0. Spread to 360. And we're going to go really quiet. And we're going to go subtle, like 0.4 pitch. Okay. The reverb zone is not... Let's set the minimum distance to... No, we're good. I kind of want it to be a little bit more reverby. So let's go to living room and hit apply. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that's everything. We've talked about occlusion culling. We've talked about optimization. I hope that was helpful. Do you guys have any quick questions for me before we wrap up here? As you guys write your questions in the chat, I want to say one big final thank you to Loic, Whitney, Montreal, Martin, Andreas, Antoni, Debauchi, Brian, Seth, Lorenzo, Victor, and all those other guys who I've shouted out multiple times this week. If you guys want to check out Full-Time Game Dev, please check it out. You got 9 days left, 16 hours to join Full-Time Game Dev, which is my massive program. I've got 4,500 students worldwide. Thomas, you've been shouting out this course a lot this week. That's because it's Black Friday. It's Black Friday, so it's a big sale. It's my biggest sale of the year, so I always go pretty hard with this thing. Honestly, it helps fund the studio through Q1 of 2026. So I'm really grateful to even be able to do this. But more importantly, I think it's going to help you guys. I really do. I think that Full-Time Game Dev is going to help you a ton. And look, I'll be honest, I used to be very insecure about shouting out this course because I was like, maybe it's not going to help people. But I had students going full-time. It was wild. Like I'd always get these messages like, hey, I went full-time. And I was like, really? So people did actually go full time. So I posted a couple of their screenshots here. There's more people outside of these screenshots, but I just wanted to share these with you guys. Students, either whether it's Kickstarter or game sales or publishers, they went full time and they're now making indie games. So you're also gonna get my 2D art program, my 3D art program, my YouTube program, totally free, but only for this sale, and also my Stream My Game program, completely free. This Full-Time Game Dev program here, you're going to learn how to pitch to publishers, how to do Kickstarter campaigns, how to make a game in Unity, Godot, Unreal. You can take your pick. You don't have to learn all of them. Just pick one. You'll learn how to code in C#. You're going to learn how to reach out to publishers, reach out to streamers, get people to play your game, hit the Steam front page, all that stuff. It's really, really cool. And more importantly, you're going to learn how to stay motivated. There's a massive Discord server. Very kind, helpful people on the server as well. So, hey, check it out below. See if it's something for you. And by the way, if you're a student, let me know in the chat and I will give you a quick shout out here. Also, let me know what you think about the program. Okay. Questions. Do we have any questions here? Any other questions here, guys? Backrooms is brain rot, but he's using it to explain atmosphere and set design. So it was a win. Well, thank you. I'm using Backrooms because that's a great place to start to learn. Because set design is simple. The whole point is that it's simple. Liminal space hinges on simplicity. No, you cannot ask questions later because I'm gonna be gone for the weekend. Yeah, I think we'll do more streams like this next week, but hey, we'll also do I'll play your games next week as well. Do I miss the old Mac? Oh yeah, I do miss Mac. I miss Mac a lot. Yeah, I really do actually. Pro tip, learn some basic Blender. Okay. Backrooms is an urban legend. Uh-huh. Would you recommend learning 3D modeling over coding since coding can mostly somewhat be accomplished by AI? You need to learn to code. You need to learn to code. Even if you're going to use AI, you got to know. No, I don't want to use Linux. Why, Thomas? I don't know. I just don't want to. But I've heard great things. Seriously, Zokin, I'm just messing with you. I've heard great things about Linux, but there's a lot of stuff out there. It's like, you need to do this. You need to do this. You need to do this. And I'm like, no, I just want to do what I want to do. Because I want to enjoy myself, right? It's like, if I want to use Pro Builder, I'm going to use Pro Builder. I'm sorry. Your next games will be awesome with all this new knowledge from the start. Thank you. When is Twisted Tower coming out? I don't know. All right, looks like I got to learn to code. Yeah, learn to code. It really does help. It really does help. You love Linux? That's awesome. Godot is the only stable engine on Linux. What is the best way to make a level with a purpose and not have it be too much or too little when there is a purpose? That's such a good question. Playtesting. It's almost impossible to know if your level's too big or too small. If it's too sprawling, if it's too complicated, it's hard to know any of this as the developer. It's much easier to know when you sit down with a notepad and I sit right here and I'll have people come over to my studio and I'll just sit and I'll watch them play. And then I'm like, holy crap, this level is 60% too big. And I'm going to cut it and trim it and polish just the small portions of it. I wouldn't have known that had I not tested with people. And I'm getting that information right now. You know, some levels in Twisted Tower it's like, what in the world? Way too big. Did I see the Unity and Unreal collab? I don't know what that's about, honestly. What is that about? Are you depending on AI for some coding? Yeah. Do you still recommend publisher deals or Kickstarter in 2026? Yes. Publisher deals and Kickstarter campaigns are not something new. They're not old either. It's just standard. It's like in publisher deals, all it is investment. That's all it is. It's rich people or rich companies or people with investment money who want to put money into projects that make money. It will always be a thing. It might not be called publishers. It might be called angel investors or just investment or whatever. It's gonna always be there. And if you need money, find a rich friend, find a rich family member who wants to get a return on their money, or go reach out to a bunch of these publishers, and they're always going to be around. They're just going to maybe act differently or do different things. Kickstarter is the same thing. It's like crowdfunding, people supporting Patronage. Patronage has been around since what? 500 AD or even longer. Patronage, it's just democratized now. So instead of going to, let's say, Prince Charles as Bach, I don't know, and trying to get funding for your musical compositions, you're going to Prince Charles and 100 other people who follow you and saying, "Hey guys, I need money. You're gonna like this project." That's it, and you get your name on the, instead of your name being printed on the or carved on the castle wall or the statue, it's carved into the credits of the game. It's never really going to go away. Patronage, by the way, patronage is more of a sympathy or generosity thing and people just wanting to partner with you. Whereas investment is they want a return on their money. Patronage and investment are always going to be around. How it's done, what platforms are used, and what the strategy is always going to shift and change. So yeah, I don't think publishers or crowdfunding are something that will go away or that you need to steer away from. I think it's always in my mind. I'm always like, well, okay, for my next game, what do I do? Do I use Patreon? Do I build a membership program? Do I do a membership on do I use patrons on Patreon, or do I do like membership where I serve the patrons with community, or do I go talk to some rich friends, or call my daddy? There's a bunch of options, or self-fund it. There's a bunch of ways to do it. So when writing a story, at what point do you know if it's good or not? Boy. I think it has to do with, okay, so I believe you can hear God. There is the times when you're like, I think maybe I heard God. And then there's times where you're like, oh, he just talked to me. Those are few and far between. The same is true with a story. There's like a moment where you're like, oh, that's it. And you just know. And you know it works. And it's so rare. And I haven't had that feeling in a long time, but you just know. You know it works. You could smell it. It's like almost like a stench. Y'all ever use smelling salts where you, oh, that's like a good story. It's like, oh, you just know. You could just feel it. If you're wondering whether it's a good story, or you're like, I don't even know, it probably isn't a good story. But if you just boom, you could feel it, and it also flows out of you naturally, it's probably a really good story. That's all I've got for that. So I don't know why the chat is so delayed, but yeah. Yeah. Okay. What comes first, story or level design? Both. So the way that I write story, and I've always written story this way, and I was talking to, I guess I could tell you guys, I got a podcast with American McGee. He's the creator of Alice Madness Returns, the Alice game franchise. He told me he writes his story at the beginning of a game, and before they even start the game, he writes the story, or he works with people to write the story. Whereas for me, it's I'll write it down. For me, it's a loop. I'm not saying this is right. I'm just telling you what it is for me. It's this everlasting, horrible, expensive loop of I'm going to design the level, or design the game, or design the economy of the game, and then I produce it. And then the story would be really cool here. And then I playtest and playtest and playtest. And I just go in this giant loop over and over and over again. Over and over and over. And I've redone all of the dialogue in the game 2 or 3 times. And I reach out to the voice actresses and actors at this point on a weekly basis. And I'm like, "Hey, I need this line, or I need this line, or I need this line." So, um so yeah. That's it, guys. That's all I got time for. Thanks so much for hanging out. If you want a shout out on Monday, feel free to check out the course below. Please just at least check it out, guys. And there's a 30-day money back guarantee. If you're just not feeling the course, there's no risk. I will send you your money back. No questions asked. You don't even have to email me, email my assistant and just say, "Hey, I want a refund," and you'll get a refund. So no risk there. So check out the course below. See if it's something you're interested in. Take a look, grab the course at this massive discount. Open it up and see what you think.